Hey, honey, do you even care? Coco Gauff opens up about love and loneliness. Text me if you do. The stadium lights had barely dimmed when Coco Gauff slipped into the quiet hallway behind the players' lounge, her silver headphones hanging loosely around her neck, her steps heavy in a way victories never seemed to fix. The world saw her as a fiery, unstoppable force of American tennis, a Grand Slam champion, a global icon, a symbol of grit and brilliance. But tonight, none of that mattered. Tonight, she wasn't Coco the superstar. She was simply Coco, the girl who wanted someone to care. Her phone buzzed in her hand. Notifications from fans, sponsors, sports analysts dissecting every moment of her match. But not the one message she wanted. Not from him. She stared at the blank space of their chat, her thumb hovering over the keyboard. She typed a question, paused, deleted it. Tried again. Hey, honey, do you even care anymore? She didn't send it. Not yet. The WTA Finals press room was bursting with reporters waiting for her, but she couldn't walk in there with her heart disentangled. She leaned against the wall, exhaling softly. It wasn't supposed to feel like this. Lonely in a room full of applause, empty despite the roaring crowds, hollow even after another solid performance. Tennis gave her the world, but it also took pieces of her that no one ever noticed. Except him. Or so she had believed. The boy who saw her before the world did. They met long before the endorsements, the magazine covers, the millions who screamed her name. Back then she was just Coco from Delray Beach, a kid with wild dreams and a forehand full of fire. He wasn't an athlete. He didn't care about rankings or tournaments. He cared about her. How she laughed too hard at bad jokes. How she tied her shoes in double knots before practice. How she talked to herself when she was nervous. He had been her grounding force, the one person who understood that greatness didn't protect you from heartbreak, insecurity, or fear. He never saw the champion. He saw the girl. So how did they get here? This silence, this distance, this ache? The question she couldn't escape. The door creaked open and her agent, Monica, peeked inside. Coco, press is waiting. You okay? Yeah, she whispered, forcing a smile. Just give me 1 minute. 1 minute to breathe. 1 minute to gather the courage she needed on court, but often lacked in love. She opened her notes app, the place she stored every unsent message, every confession she would never say aloud. Tonight, she typed, if you still love me, text me. If I still matter, just say something. Anything. Her fingers trembled. It wasn't like her to admit vulnerability. Not to the media, not to the world, and definitely not to someone who could break her heart. But love had a way of stripping away the layers, revealing the parts of us we try hardest to protect. Flashback. The fight that changed everything. It had happened 3 weeks ago, in a hotel room in Beijing. He had flown all the way across the world to surprise her during the Asian swing. The moment she saw him, she lit up like the stadium lights she lived under. But the tour life was unforgiving. Jet lag, training, media, matches, no room to breathe, much less to love. The argument started small. You didn't call last night. I fell asleep after physio. But you had energy to post on Instagram. That was my manager. It spiraled the way suppressed emotions always do. He said she didn't make time for him. She said he didn't understand her world. He said she'd changed. She said he wanted too much. But the moment that shattered her was when he whispered, maybe you don't need me anymore. She didn't know how to answer because she wasn't sure of anything anymore. He left the next morning, and the silence since then had been louder than any tennis crowd. On the court, but not really. She walked into the press conference room, masking her emotion behind her media-trained smile. Coco, how do you feel about your performance today? Coco, talk us through the tiebreak. Coco, do you feel pressure as the face of American tennis? She answered smoothly, professionally. None of them asked the real question. How do you feel? When she finally left the room, her phone buzzed again. Still not him. She swallowed the lump in her throat. A message from an unexpected place. Hours later, back in her hotel suite overlooking the soft glow of the city, she lay on the bed fully dressed, staring at the ceiling. She thought about sending the message 100 times. She thought about deleting his number 100 more. Her phone buzzed. This time, it was a voicemail from her mom. Great, she thought. Another lecture about balance and focus. But her mother's voice was soft, warm, knowing. Coco, baby. Sometimes the strongest people forget they're allowed to need love too. Don't be afraid to reach out. You don't have to win every battle alone. A tear slipped down her cheek. The message wasn't about tennis at all. Her mom knew. She always knew. Coco grabbed her phone again. The message she couldn't keep inside any longer. She opened their chat. The last message was from her, 3 weeks ago. Let me know when you land. I love you. He never responded. She typed slowly, deliberately. Each word truth she could no longer bury. Hey, honey, do you even care? I miss you. I'm tired of pretending I don't. I don't need perfect. I just need you. Text me if you do. Her chest tightened as she hovered over the send button. Her mind screamed no. Her heart whispered yes. She hit send. The wait, the minutes after sending a vulnerable message always felt like a lifetime. She went to brush her teeth. Checked the phone. Nothing. She stretched on the carpet. Checked again. Nothing. She showered. Still nothing. The world expected her to be fearless. But here she was, terrified of 3 dots appearing or not appearing on a screen. She lay in bed, staring at her ceiling again, letting exhaustion finally pull her towards sleep. Her phone buzzed. Her heart stopped. She grabbed it instantly. A message from him. Her pulse raced. His reply. The text was simple, but it was everything. I care more than you think. I'm sorry for the silence. I didn't want to make things harder for you during the finals. I thought giving you space was the right thing. But yes, love in between the lines. They talked for hours at night. About fear, about distance, about mistakes, about how love wasn't competition but a partnership. He admitted he felt insecure living in her shadow. She admitted she was terrified of losing him because loving someone while living in the spotlight was harder than any match she'd ever played. He promised to try harder to understand her world. She promised to make space for him within it. They laughed. They cried. They breathed again. For the first time in weeks, Coco felt the world soften. The morning after, when the sun rose, she sat by the window sipping warm tea. Her phone buzzed again. Good morning, champ. I'm here. She smiled genuinely, fully. She didn't know what the future held. Love was messy, imperfect, unpredictable. But she knew one thing now. She wasn't alone. And sometimes that was enough. She whispered to herself, almost shyly, yeah, he cares. Then she grabbed her racket bag, opened the door, and stepped back into the world. Not just as Coco Gauff, the tennis sensation, but as a young woman learning how to love fearlessly and be loved in return. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, and share. Till next time.